Did you know that flying is the safest mean of transport? But in case of any mistakes or accidents, it can turn into the deadliest one. In today's video, we will discover the 10 deadliest accidents of all time in the aviation industry. Number 10. Japan Airlines Flight 123. In 1985, Japan Airlines Flight 123 took off from Tokyo Haneda Airport, heading to Osaka. However, just 12 minutes after the plane left the airport, it faced an explosive decompression, which led to the aircraft losing its hydraulic system as well as the rudder, a known deadly combination in the aviation industry. The pilots did not really give up. They tried their best to keep the plane flying for an hour and a half, but unfortunately it eventually crashed near a mountainous area, costing the lives of 520 passengers on board and only 4 survivors. Number 9. Turkish Airlines Flight 981. On March 1974, a Turkish airline Flight 981, which was McDonnell Douglas DC-10, took off from London and had a stopover in Orly. Unfortunately, the plane crashed in Emmaville Forest before making it to Orly. The main reason behind the crash was because of a language barrier. The Moroccan baggage handlers were confused by the English-Turkish instructions. Hence, the cargo door was incorrectly secured, and the back of the plane burst open mid-flight, which led to an explosive decompression. All 346 passengers were killed, and this was one of the worst single-plane crashes, with 0 survivors. Number 8. Air India Flight 855. In 1978, on New Year's Eve, Air India Flight 855, which was Boeing 757, the first Boeing plane owned by India, departed from Dubai to Mumbai. The plane shortly crashed after takeoff into the Arabian Sea. Only a total of 101 seconds between the takeoff and the crash. Unfortunately, the reason behind the crash was an equipment malfunction. The readings were false. It did not show accurate display of the horizon due to the darkness of the sea. All 213 passengers on board were killed. This was rated as the second worst aviation disaster in the Indian aviation. Number 7. The Tenerife Airport Collision. This was rated to be one of the worst crashes of all time. Looking at the number of victims, in 1977, an explosion occurred in the Gran Canaria Airport that resulted in planes moving to Tenerife Airport. That included the Pan Am Flight 1736 and KLM Flight 4805. Unfortunately, there was a lot of confusion. The planes moved with no ground radar and the weather was very foggy. Due to the unorganized transfer, both flights collided into each other, killing 583 passengers on board. Only 61 backseaters survived the crash. KLM Flight admitted that the pilot had mistakenly thought he was cleared for takeoff, and that was the result for the crash. Number 6. American Airlines Flight 191. In 1979, Flight 191 left O'Hare Airport heading to LAX. But shortly after takeoff, the engine, which was beneath the left wing, broke off and flipped on the top portion of the wing. This caused severe damage to the plane and totally ruined the hydraulic fluid lines. The plane started to roll as it lost control and fell into a field in O'Hare. Unfortunately, all 273 passengers on board lost their lives, along with 2 people on the ground. The investigation pointed out that along with the engine separation, the aircraft was faulty maintained. This remains as the worst aviation crash in the American history. Number 5. China Airlines Flight 140. In 1994, China Airlines Flight 140 was about to land in Taiwan, but just before landing, the pilot accidentally activated the takeoff button, causing major problems for the A300-622R. However, as the pilots rushed to fix the issue, the autopilot started working and everything was going downhill. Unfortunately, the plane began slowing down and eventually crashed, killing 264 of the 271 passengers. This was the worst crash suffered by China Aviation Airlines. Number 4. CHARKHI DADRI Collision. In 1996, a Saudi flight was heading to Dhahran, and a Kazakhstani flight was heading to Airport India. However, the Kazakhstan flight failed to maintain the correct altitude and crashed with wing of the Saudi plane, resulting in a tragic crash killing all 349 passengers on board from both flights. This was the deadliest mid-air collision ever and the worst accident to occur in India. Number 3. The Grand Canyon Collision. On June 30, 1956, Douglas DC-7 collided mid-air with Trans World Lockheed above Grand Canyon, Arizona. Both flights left Los Angeles Airport minutes apart, with one heading to Chicago and the other to Kansas City. Unfortunately, it was believed that the 2 pilots did not spot each other and crashed mid-air. All passengers on board from both flights died. The Federal Aviation Agency law was created after this crash. Number 2. The New York Collision. On December 16, 1960, United Airlines Douglas DC-8 collided with Trans World Airlines Lockheed L-1049. Both planes left from Idlewild Airport. However, it was believed that the United Airlines flight left before its clearance and in high speed, leading to the crash. Unfortunately, all 128 passengers on board were killed, along with 6 people on ground. Damages were also made, like buildings destroyed, a funeral home, and a laundromat. That was the first crash where the black box was a major part of the investigation. Number 1. United Flight 232. In July 1989, United Flight 232 left Denver en route airport, heading to Chicago, when suddenly the tail engine failed to work, and what's worse is that the hydraulics were also severed. Just like the Japanese Flight 123, the pilots tried their best to keep the plane flying even under worst conditions. They managed to land the plane in the nearest airport, and from the 296 passengers on board, 185 survived. This is the end of today's video. Which of these accidents was the deadliest in your opinion? Let us know in the comments section below. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and turn the post notifications on. See you in the next one.